people called on lawmakers and the president to take action on gun violence in America.
And this afternoon, we are hearing from the president, the governor, and our state attorney general. Matt Lorch is here with more on that and one group's plans for stricter gun laws in our state.
And we are hearing similar calls, guys, across the country. When Republican Ohio Governor Mike DeWine took the stage at a vigil in Dayton last night, he was drowned out by chants of "do something." After a weekend that saw at least 31 people killed, men, women, and children shot, there are renewed calls for gun control measures in this country. The president spoke about the mass shootings this morning. Sharing his 5-point plan, he condemned racism, bigotry, and white supremacy, blamed social media and violent video games. What was not part of his plan? Any mention of gun reforms. Instead, he focused on stopping the mentally ill from committing mass shootings.
And make sure those people not only get treatment, but when necessary, involuntary confinement. Mental illness and hatred pulls the trigger, not the gun.
Some local leaders, including Governor Inslee, who's running for president, went after President Trump on the issue, saying in part, President Trump's claim that he has done a lot on gun violence prevention is a bold-faced lie. America deserves leaders who have the political courage to care more about the children and neighbors than they do about the NRA. Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkan also called on the feds to act, saying this is a national crisis of gun violence, and our federal government has abandoned its responsibility to protect our communities from gun violence. Voters in this state have been passing new gun control laws. Initiative 1639 just went into effect last month. You now have to be 21 to buy an assault rifle. There are enhanced background checks for semi-automatic assault rifles and 10-day waiting periods to buy them. Today, Attorney General Bob Ferguson called out state lawmakers for not banning assault weapons and high-capacity magazines here in Washington.
Those double-drum high-capacity magazines that the Dayton shooter used with 100 rounds, those are legal in Washington state, and people need to understand that. I propose laws that change that. Our legislature, frankly, hasn't had the political will to take those on.
The group Alliance for Gun Responsibility is joining Ferguson in pushing state lawmakers to pass restrictions on high-capacity magazines here in Washington.
We're going to be keeping the pressure on our elected officials to do their job, which is to enact the will of the people. And in Washington state, that means passing a number of different policies into law around gun responsibility, including high-capacity magazine restrictions.
So what's next in this state? In the next session in Olympia, we are going to be hearing a lot about banning or restricting high-capacity magazines.
Well, Matt, there are some gun control measures that Americans overwhelmingly support, so why doesn't Congress pass those?
You know, it's a great question, and it's a question that many people are asking today. Most Americans support universal background checks and bans on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. That's according to the Pew Research Center. Still, gun laws are polarizing and political, and even though most voters support those moves, Congress and state lawmakers have been reluctant to move.
Wow. Well, we know we need to do